Yo, what up, guys? Welcome to another week of breakdowns with your boy Corey Sandman Sandhagen, sponsored by OnlyFans. Today we're going to talk about Topuria versus Thicknesse. All right, this fight was awesome. Thicknesse did a really good job and also has one of the best last names in MMA now. And Topuria, we're going to talk about his style, how it works, really bladed, and how cool it is just to see a style that's really boxing committed work super well in MMA. So let's crack into the breakdown. All right, cool, guys. Let's talk about Topuria's brother first, okay? So let's talk about the defensive side of what he's doing first, and then the offensive side of what he's doing, and then why they both work, okay? His defense is built into his position, okay? I've talked about this a number of times. There's like more squared stances like this, okay? Like Thicknesse's style, which is by far the greatest name in UFC history, or greatest last name, where I wish that dude's dad was my dad, okay? But instead of a really square stance like this, Topuria is really bladed here, okay? His defense is built into this position. When I'm square, I'm giving you a lot of targets. I'm giving you the front of my face. There's a reason that boxers stand like this, and it's because they can hide their body, and when they're fighting, they're looking out the corner of their eye. The lead hand, you know, is really awkward to keep by your face when you're in a really bladed stance. So they'll usually bring this down, but to compensate for that, usually they'll do some type of Philly shell, something, or some type of shoulder where they'll protect themselves here like it's a shield, okay? When you're square, obviously, like protecting yourself from hooks is like a little bit more awkward when you're like this. Obviously, I'm giving a lot more of my body. The advantage to being squared is that I have access to a lot more of my weapons on the drop of a dime, whereas when I'm here, I kind of like my backside things take a little bit longer to reach my target opposed to being square and being able to do this, okay? But the defense is built into the position. I have my shoulder here. I have my legs kind of long, which we'll talk about how Topuria and his brother do these big leaps here to get out and then just reset themselves. But he's really butt out too. It's not like a Taekwondo guys don't stand with their butts out. Taekwondo guys hop and keep their legs really straight, even though they're bladed. Boxers have their butt a little bit lower and their weight on their back leg, which we'll talk about in the offensive piece too. But he's here in this stance and they march, okay? They protect themselves really well. They block head kicks here, which is really easy. Like Thicknesse did a really good job of throwing that left kick to the head and to the body here because I'm super flat like this. When you hit people, you want to hit them like on the flat side when you're kicking them. If I'm square, like kicking and digging into my ribs for sure hurts, but I really don't like when a leg goes all the way across my body and hits me like this in like all of my stuff and guts, okay? So when I'm here like this, I block, I keep myself safe. To address the low kick, a lot of the time they go all the way out. Checking can be really awkward when you're really wide like this. It's hard for me to like step my foot up because my weight is just in both of my legs. When I'm really narrow stanced, it's really easy to pick up my leg because standing like this on one leg is a lot easier than this. Obviously, I can't do it, okay? So we're here, Topuria's brother is here like this, okay? Defensively, he does a really good job. He stays really composed. He marches himself forward, okay? The offensive piece and how this works offensively is there's not a lot of rear hand action until they get close enough or until the other guy, Thicknesse, gets out of position, okay? Up until then, it's a lot of blocking and marching someone down. And when you're built like the Topuria brothers with like really long arms, really short torsos, and lower to the ground, like shorter, it's really hard to score significant stuff on that type of style, okay? Like you can try to kick their leg, you can drill them on this side, but punching someone that's in a boxer stance is not easy, obviously, because that's why boxers do it, right? Like Muay Thai guys are a lot easier to punch because they're like this, but they have more access to their kicks. They don't throw a ton of punches because it's hard to be powerful with your legs this straight, which we'll also talk about in the Strickland breakdown when that one comes out. But or Strickland versus Duplessis, but when we're here like this, okay, it's really hard for you to feel like you're having any success because you're just going to be hitting my guard the entire time. That gives me an offensive advantage because I just get to walk myself forward. Boom, here, he'll clear space every once in a while, hop back in, okay? But for the most part, they're just staying really guarded. They're landing this lead hand until they get a really big push on their right leg and land their right hand, okay? Elias, can I use you? What we're gonna talk about how this works so well in like being able to score punches in this type of stance versus this type of stance is because of the angle that my punches come at my opponent are, why does it always feel so gay when I say come at my opponent? Yeah, I'm an idiot. I'm 32 years old and what you'll learn if you're like 17 or 18 years old, when you hit about like 17, 18, that's when your maturity peaks. And then for the rest of your life, you just learn not to say immature things. But inside this thing, still equally as mature all the way up until I'm pretty sure that we die, okay? But where was I? Oh, okay. So when I'm in this type of stance, my punches come much straighter, okay? When I'm in this type of stance, they don't come as straight because my elbows have to be a little bit more out. And that's why Topuria, both of them, are really good at landing their jab and landing their cross, okay? Trevor has helped me understand this a lot, like getting a good jab. I used to stand really square. I still do a little bit, but where there's times that I do. When I throw my jab from this stance and I'm in front of Elias, it comes at this angle, okay? When I'm bladed, my jab comes straight up the middle, which is really important, okay? Some guys are really good at like moving their body and their arms really weird. So if I'm in a square stance and I start to punch at Elias, these can just get deflected weird, opposed to if I'm gonna think of this like a sword, like stabbing it straight, I'm gonna have the most success if he's trying to sword fight me and like move his arms and deflect it, okay? Which is kind of like what you're doing when you're playing like with different types of guards is we're kind of sword fighting a little bit, where when Elias is trying to hit me, I'm using my elbows and things like that to just block myself from those types of punches, right? But the jab is great on his end, and it works because he's in this really bladed stance. If you want a good jab, you have to stand in a bladed stance, I'm pretty sure, okay? He'll step, boom, he'll land this jab. His butt is way out and their weight is big time on their back leg. That's really important, all right? If I'm here like this, well, one, it's hard for me to keep my butt out with my weight on my front leg. It just feels awkward. Here, I feel like I'm like a javelin. Like I can throw like a really long javelin like this and launch something. When I'm on my front leg, I can't, right? When I'm like this, I feel like I can, which is essentially what they're doing when they're moving themselves in, is they're trying to generate, and they do generate, a ton of power on this back leg. So if I do get close enough to hit you, one, it's a lot longer than what you think, and it's a lot harder than what you think too. If I'm on this back leg and I launch this right hand, I can really punch past him. Like you saw this Topuria and Holloway. Topuria threw like a hook or a jab. I forget which one came first. Don't roast me in the comments like you guys do when I make the tiniest of mistakes. But I jab, I hook, he steps this real deep, and now I'm in this javelin type of position. And even if Elias backs up a lot, like go ahead, back up, like I can still hit him from here and stay in a pretty solid stance without falling over myself. Topuria's brother does that too, where he'll jab. I'm way loaded here. He's just waiting for Thicknesse to get out of shape. God, I love that last name. Or not out of shape, but out of position, because Thicknesse is a movie guy. He's not going to be connected to the floor. So as this guy's moving, he can't really like punch me significantly when he's that bouncy. So I'm just going to wait till I'm close enough and then just rocket this thing in, which is a really good idea, okay? Another thing that he does offensively or they both do really offensively, and boxers just do well in general, is when they do get to a position where they feel like they can land their right hand, whether it be far or close, now I'm gonna throw this as hard as I can, but I'm gonna aim for different spots. If I'm really close, and this is good for you guys that are fighting, if I'm really close, obviously the straight doesn't make any sense, okay? So I have all of this time here to be like, okay, I'm pretty close, maybe I'll just throw a body shot, body shot, or maybe I'll throw an uppercut or a right hook instead. When I'm a little bit longer, I'm just gonna throw my straight, or maybe like a really long body shot, which I think Topuria did a couple times too. But it works because they're really bladed, their weight is on their back leg, and they're just marching you down, waiting for you to get out of position or for you to let them close enough. And when they do, they big time launch this right hand here, big time launch this right hand here, over, go back this way, and it works. It works super good. Thicknesse fought a hell of a fight, so good on that dude for, you know, not giving up. Even at the end, rolling for legs and shit, it was cool. I hope that they give him a UFC contract, because I think it was only for like one fight, which would kind of suck, because definitely Topuria is for sure going to be, I think, a really good fighter in the division. We'll see how well he does. It's kind of hard to tell in the beginning, but it was an awesome fight. He's really good. Like, subscribe, peace, love you, bye.